It's going on good with an interesting and excited topics. We take this opportunity along with my colleague to introduce and invite our eminent panel guest on today's most prominent and burning topics, higher education in India or abroad. Before we start, I'll start with the moderator. I think she needs no introduction. Any guesses? Participants? She is Miss Sita Murthy has a wide range of experience in field of education. As an IB educator and president of Association of Heads of IB World Schools in India. We welcome you on to the dais, ma'am. She blends national and international goals of education in all her endeavors within and outside India. Besides leading IB workshops across the Asia Pacific region, she is also invited to present at 4 IB Global Conference as a Director of Education at Silver Oaks International School in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Visakhapatnam. She assumes responsibility for a learning years of 7,000 students in her school. A round of applause for Ms. Sita Murthy, a moderator for this panel on the topic higher education in India or abroad. I request Dr. Yong to take over the dais. He has a master degree and 1 PhD degree from Johns Hopkins University. In 2010, Dr. Yong published his work on philosophy of family and created a new branch of philosophy with his work. He retired as a director of Asian Study at Liberal Arts College in Chicago. He has taught world regions for 10 years and philosophy for 30 years. Welcome you, Dr. Yong. I welcome Mr. Amit Deswal. Please. It's an interesting profile from Amit Deswal. He completed his IIT, then he started exploring life myself, he says. Then he shifted, exploring in many things to MBA, taken up World Bank job, then again started listening silently about life, inner lines. Then he has taken a few lines from Shanti Niketan. I think more we'll be hearing from Dr. Amit Swal about the exploration, what he has done in his way of a journey. Next, I welcome Ms. Radhika to introduce the other panelists.
Thank you, Ms. Vanja. Good afternoon. Namaste to all of you present here. Our next panelist for the day is Mr. Ram Kumar. He was the steering committee of the network of Asia Pacific Schools and Institutes of Public Administration and Governance supported by the Asian Development Bank. He has handled assignments for the Ministry of Finance, Power, Trade, Commerce, Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises. He was also a member of the Working Group on Privatization, set up by the International Institute of Administrative Services, Belgium. He is a researcher for Planning Commission, Niti Aayog, Finance Commission, Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, OECD, Commonwealth Secretariat, United Nations University, to name a few. He has been on the subject expert committees of the Regional Corporate Office of CII, FICCI, and a few state chambers of commerce and industry. He was on the panels of presenters at the BRICS conference in India and Brazil. He is on the panel of experts of South Africa's National Research Foundation, NRF. His current interests include corporate social responsibility, corporate governance, sustainable development, ESG, management education, and institution building. Our next panelist is Professor N.V. Ramana Rao, who earlier worked as Rector and Professor of Civil Engineering at JNTU Hyderabad before joining as director NIT Warangal. He did his BE in civil engineering from Osmania, MTech from IIT Delhi, PhD and postdoctorate from UK in civil and structural engineering from University of Wales, UK. He has edited 3 books and published 137 papers in international journals, international conferences, national journals, national conferences. He has organized 12 conferences, workshops, delivered 15 invited lectures. He has guided more than 50 MTechs, 8 PhDs, and guiding at present several PhDs. On the invitation from the President of Mauritius, he has been a part of high-level discussion on the need to engage the worlds of art, nature, and science in Mauritius. Next panelist is Professor P. Yogeshwari. Professor P. Yogeshwari is presently working in the capacity of Dean, Administration, BITS Pilani, Hyderabad campus. She is a senior professor and Shri S.K. Birla and Srimati Sarla Birla Chair Professor, Department of Pharmacy, BITS Pilani, Hyderabad campus. She received her PhD degree in the year 2001 from IIT Banaras Hindu University. She is being ranked as one among the top 10 research scientists in National Certified by Careers 360 in Pharmacology. She has received various academic recognition through awards like ICMR Shakuntala Amir Chand Prize, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Global Health Travel Award, Women in Education Award, and South India Women Achievers Award for 2019 under the category of Outstanding Educator. Next, I feel privileged and honored to call our dear Chairman Ji, Malka Kumaria Ji. He is the Chairman and Director of Delhi Public School, Nacharam, Mahinder Hills and Nadergul. He has over 3 decades of experience in the fields of real estate, energy, healthcare and education. His life and body of work are testimonials to the fact that no ambition is too big with hard work and discipline. After finishing his studies at the Osmania University of Hyderabad, where he did civil engineering, he ventured into real estate and made a name for himself. Next, he found his calling in entrepreneurship, where he founded Shalivana Projects Limited, the group's flagship company. The company went on to build some of the most elegant and renowned buildings in the cities of Hyderabad, Secunderabad, Madhapur. The projects included both commercial residential complexes, which became highlight of their respective cities. Shri Kumariaji ventured into green energy generation to find alternative sources of energy which are climate friendly, something that a developing country like India really needs to prosper. He took this visionary decision back when a huge part of the country was still new to the idea of green energy. But through his relentless pursuit of excellence, the company is now one of India's largest agri-based power producers with an operational capacity of 88 megawatt. A thorough philanthropist at heart, Komariaji had taken several measures to help the underprivileged section of society. His most recent outing in that endeavor is Shalivana Foundation, which provides apparel training to the women of below poverty line families. This helps them find suitable job opportunities and earn an income in an honorable way. Over to the speakers.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Post lunch, I will do my best to make it as lively and energetic as possible so that you will enjoy the discussion and the perspectives from each one of them. I came here as a panelist, and I prepared to speak about the topic. And my dear, very good friend, Dr. Sudha, told me, I want you to be the moderator just 5 minutes ago. So I have to shift gears now. So in shifting gears, it's something very interesting, that's what we do in schools and colleges all the time. I'm the only one from the school sector here, other than the revered chairman of the DPS group here, and of course, Dr. Amit over here. But everybody is from the higher education, and the topic is about higher education in India or abroad. If you recall the statement Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan made before lunch, it's not about India or abroad, it's about what are you going to learn and where are you going to learn and why are you going to learn it. So it's on that. How we will go with our panel discussion is, I have the monitor showing me the time every second over here. You won't be able to see it, but I can see it. So what I will do is, I'll ask each of my panelists to share their perspectives on the topic because it's certainly a burning issue now. With a plethora of universities and courses running helter-skelter across the country and the globe, what choices do our students have? And what is the rhetoric a school should take or a university should take? And what kind of opportunities are lying ahead for the younger generation in our schools and colleges? That's the topic of the day, of this afternoon. And I will start with my beautiful colleague sitting right at the end over there, Dr. Yogeshwari. I hope I got your name. Yes, Dr. Yogeshwari. I'd like to hear from you. So how we'll go about this panel is, each one speaks about 4 to 5 minutes, and then we'll engage with question answer session. Is that okay? I hope it's okay with everybody. Thank you very much. So we'll listen from you first on your perspectives about it.
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon, very good afternoon. First of all, thanking the organizers for conducting such an event, as well as bringing all the dignitaries from higher education as well as school in one room. So the topic is about higher education in India or abroad. And let us first understand, where does India stand with respect to the higher education sector? As far as I believe, I think we stand third among the top countries which are on higher education, next to US and China. And we are the largest publicly funded university setup that we have, the largest publicly funded universities. But however, I come from a private institutions, which is BITS Pilani, and currently I'm in Hyderabad campus. So I believe that as we talk also about the national new education policy, it is important that the higher education sector do collaborate with the school system very early, because that is when you we always say that catch them young, right? So because we are looking at education from the aspect of research, multidisciplinary and innovation, I think higher education sectors play a very important role, training youngsters from school itself, right? So I've been part of Delhi Public School innovation workshops we have conducted. We did give opportunity to DPS students to have an insight of how university setup work with respect to research and kind of programs that we conduct. So I think this is the conversation I would like to set for today as of now, and I'll come back with more insights when we go on.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. So I'll move to after BITS, I need to move to another IT, that's NIT. Okay. So when I was supposed to be a panelist and I wanted to share my perspectives, I wanted to refer to the temples of modern India, the IITs and the NITs, and how every young Indian in a school now aspires to go to these temples. Those who can sip the holy grail, who can bear the entire competition, enter into these temples, and those who can't, enter into other private institutions. Again, ending with IT, with every letter in the alphabet preceding them. But entering into an IIT and an IT is certainly a privilege in the country, and we'll look forward to hearing from Dr. Ramana Rao about what do you think, higher education in India or abroad?
I thank you for inviting me, and thank the organizers for doing these deliberations and discussions on a topic of great relevance to the present day context. In fact, when we talk about higher education, we need to understand that whether it is global or local, we are talking about quality. We are talking about institutional restructuring. A lot of changes are coming, and because of the National Education Policy 2020, today we are talking about multidisciplinary education. So higher education has to become multidisciplinary, and higher education institutes will have to provide optimal learning environments, because you get students from different quarters. Not only that, we should have in higher education institutions motivated, energized, and capable faculty. Without good faculty, no higher education institution can survive. Not only that, all higher education should have equity and inclusive in higher education, because we need to take across all aspects of society and admit them into the system, and we have to catalyze quality academics. To see the real industrial scenario, what is happening in the industry scenario, if you see, we have now coming across areas which are actually totally changing the way we teach and learn. For example, we have areas like, key areas like starting from artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain techniques, then we have augmented reality and virtual reality. So all these things, including robotics, quantum computing, data sciences, cyber security, 3D printing, augmented reality, virtual reality, all these things are changing the way we teach and learn. In fact, now we have to depend a lot on the digitalization of education. And what has actually happened in the industry scenario and how that is being reflected in the education. I'll just tell you some examples. I told you all the developments of AI, ML, this blockchain in the industry scenario. Similarly, we call it the industry 4.0. Similarly, we have equivalent education 4.0, where we have now relying more our curriculum responsive to the industry 4.0. We have moved from teacher-centric learning to student-centric learning. It's very, very important. And we are talking about experiential learning and blended learning. Today, COVID has showed us a way of teaching and learning. So hybrid modes of teaching have become very common. Not only that, for students and teachers, everybody here, all of us, it's a lifelong learning, Every step, things are changing very fast. In fact, the earlier speaker, Jayaprakash, was telling, we don't know what jobs are going to come in the next 30 years. So we will have to prepare the students for the jobs of the future. So we call it lifelong learning, and therefore we need to reskill, upskill everybody and anybody. So that is something which higher education institution will have to take up the responsibility. Not only that, whatever students are coming into the system, we will have to inculcate in them the analytical, problem solving, creative skills. So these are the things that are really happening. And I would also like to quickly share that something which is very, very important for all of us is all higher education institutions will have to prepare the students for the jobs of the future. We will have to provide them the right skills to foster employability. After all, people come to education to get employment, and if we don't give them the right skills, then there will be a problem. Not only that, we will have to make our students makers and innovators, There's out-of-box thinking and ideas and all that. So universities and higher education institutions are the place where new ideas are tested and tried. So that is makers and innovators. In fact, a lot of things are happening, and out-of-box thinking is required. Therefore, that is higher education plays a very important role. Not only that, we will have to have a strong connection with the industry. In fact, we have, coming to industry trends, we are having, smart factories where everything is controlled through automation. We have renewable energy systems coming into the system. We have smart cities, we have logistics and supply chain. So much things are happening in the industry. So we need to train our students not only in the hard skills, in the soft skills also. These are very important. In fact, at NIT Warangal, we give a lot of importance to this. So I'm talking about soft skills like collaboration. Without academic collaboration, both at the national and international level, nothing can be achieved. Even we are now strongly believing that we can't do it alone. We need to collaborate. We may be strong in certain areas, but we need to collaborate with industries, we need to collaborate with other institutions, do networking, that is very, very important. Adaptability, we have to adapt the curriculum to the changing needs of the society. We have to have an active learning system. Then ethics is something very important, professional ethics, human values, and that has been made compulsory in university education. And we need to inculcate in the students critical thinking, creativity, and complex problem solving skills. This is the soft skills. Coming to the hard skills, where I'm talking from the technology point of view, we try to inculcate in the students innovation, robotics, data analytics, project management, system auditing, additive manufacturing. These are new areas that are not there some time back, but now they have come. And if I don't train my students in that, my students will not be employable. So we have realized early, so the universities will have to focus on training the students for the jobs of the futures. So these new technologies have to come. Curriculum revision should go on continuously, and lifelong learning is what is required. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It's good to hear from someone who hosts the Temple of Learning in our country about what needs to be done with the younger generation. I'd like to hear from the chairman of the group, Kumaraji, running a K-12 school of such magnitude in the city. What do you think needs to be brought into the schools to align with the higher education? And what would you suggest? Do they go to the universities in India? Do they go abroad? What is your message to your students?
To implement this NEP 2020 more effectively, we have to involve the first promoters to give the facilities, ICT, infrastructure, then teachers, proper training to adapt to the new policy, then to involve the parents to change their mindset and only studies. That their mindset has to change, and all the parents, they have to give the opportunity to the students, whichever subject he is interested, they have to choose. Now in new NEP 2020, all that options are available in school level or higher plus 2 level and undergraduation or university level. That options are available, and they can take science or with arts or whatever their interested subjects they can take. Now some students are they're good at science, but mathematics they're weak, but arts also, some commerce they're interested. That combination also can now they can select. But parents has to change their mindset to allow them to choose whatever they want. Now in our schools, DPS or Pallavi or our engineering college, we last 6 months itself, NEP is now coming, but in all our schools, we encourage sports, all-round developments, art, culture, including photography or indoor games, outside games. When we started that, our principals are not acceptable. We are not a sports school. They used to say, our school is not a sports school. Why we will encourage all those things? Then studies, they will be weak. Then I used to tell them. I took 2 years to convince them. Slowly, now they are very active on sports also. But that mindset has to change. When students are good at sports, like now all the cricket players or captains, they are doing the best after their life in the real life. They know how to lose, how to win. And now we have the Narayana Chaitanya, I don't want to take name, but the corporate colleges only multi-storied and floor-wise. In our complex, there is one corporate college, 10 years they run. 8 o'clock they will come and they'll lock the gate. Then 8 o'clock night they used to go. Then students are in like a jail. That used to be. Now slowly CBSE also became very strict without open place or ground. They are not giving the affiliation. State government also started insisting the playground, other areas. Now because of the fire safety norms, fire department also not giving the permission without proper infrastructure. To effectively implement the NEP 2020, first point is infrastructure and proper playgrounds. Promoter has to give, and teachers has to adapt and spend more time to learn the ICT and all this new syllabus or this new policy they have to adopt and teach them. And parents has to accept the new changes and give the freedom to the students. And whatever they are interested, let them study and let them come up. And ultimately, students has to develop a good citizens for our country, and we have a great country, and whole world is looking at us, India, and our people do much better, and we are now fifth largest economy, and in near future we'll reach number 4 and then 3. And whole world is looking at us, and lot of future is there. Only we have to develop the all-round development of the student, not only academics. That is our main idea.
Thank you very much. Dr. Yang, you come from a different context. Okay? Both Dr. Ramana Rao and Kumaraya ji have given you insights into the education landscape, the school education and the higher education landscape in India as of 2023. But this journey of why we want to bring sports back or critical thinking skills back into education was actually there before 90s in our country. But with the globalization in India and the prescription that every student has to do engineering, okay, because it has a rewarding end to it, to that tunnel, the coaching factories have sprung in our country a lot. They have done good, they have done bad. But the point is high rate of employment now. But now all of us in schools and colleges are talking about we need to give sports, we need to give critical thinking, soft skills, technical skills, so that our students make big in the world. That's the context we are in. We'd like to hear from you about the context that you come from and how do you look at higher education.
Thank you, Sita. Let me stand up. I feel comfortable to stand up. Yes, our topic is higher education in India and abroad. I'm here only 3 days, so I cannot talk much about the domestic higher education in India. But I do have interest in talking about higher education for India abroad. Okay. I think on that, perhaps one of the first concern is the so-called brain drain, right? I mean, we have educated some of the best students in the world, high school graduate in the world, but then they have gone. And to where? To the United States, to the Ivy Leagues, to Stanford, MIT, right? So how do we look at it, right? As someone who is in a neutral position, right? I'm not completely a American yet, right? And as a Chinese American, so let me offer some perspective here. Number one, I think we could probably take this as a bittersweet thing. The bitter part is that we see our talents kind of gone, okay? But there's also a sweet part, and I want to remind you. They are so talented that the Indian Americans is the most successful minority group in the United States. Congratulations, India, okay? I'm mentioning this because that's a sign of the success of our secondary education, you know, right? Many people here are dedicated to secondary education. Also, I need to congratulate Indian families. Family education plus school education made the Indian young Indians as the most talented and competitive people in the United States higher education circle. So this is bitter but sweet. And two other points I want to make is number one, we need to stop driving them out. Okay, now how do we do that? I think for the talented young teenagers, they are usually also have a stronger will, right? They like to realize their free will a bit more. So for this kind of a young, talented, and also good kids, we need to do what? We need to create and leave them a bit more space for them to make their own choices. Okay? So something like when they reach their 16-year-old birthday party, the parents could give them some rights. Okay, you can go out and until, 9 o'clock, come back. So by 18 years old, you can choose, whoever that you go out with. So on every birthday, you give them more room for them to realize their freedom. So they don't feel that this country, this family is like make me, hard to choose whatever I want. Okay. So that way, it will be easier to keep them here instead of driving them out. Number two, I would suggest that in our secondary education, in high school specifically, maybe we need to develop some short curriculum for education of what? Education of responsibilities and education for patriotism. Okay. Love India and responsible for other kids, for other, fellow Indian citizens. If you are successful, then you need to take up the responsibility to help others. Okay. If you go out to prove yourself, then the next thing is to uplifting the whole nation. Okay. So if we do this kind of education, now believe me, when you do this education, first of all, the kids will be not very happy. Okay. They think that you are, mentioning something which is not directly to what they are interested. Don't stop. Don't fear that. Because a few years later, when they reach their age, they will recall this. And they will feel that that kind of education is actually important because it helped me to realize the value of my history, civilization, value system, and remind them of the importance of the parents at home and the motherland in India. So they will come back home and at least do some direct to indirect service. Okay. And finally, the important thing is we need to create a couple of universities, or at least very few universities, to such an extent that the successful Indian in the United States, they will come back and visit here. Oh, here is also a place I can do some research. Okay, so let me become the so-called the bird kind of a scientist. Over there, I can do my cutting edge research. But come back here in Indian University. Okay, there are some bases that I can do the same. So I think with these kind of perspectives, we can probably deal better of the concern about the brain drain.
That was brilliant. I'm glad you brought the cultural perspective of this entire thing because I just returned from South Korea. I went there to evaluate an IB school there. So the student community is Korean, but the teaching community is either American or Canadians. Okay? The Korean parents want their children after school to go for a coaching class. And the head of the school, who's an American, is shocked that why should a child study after 3:30? Okay? But that's what is the culture in Asian countries. You also have Asian roots. You know very well that across Asia Pacific, the family system or the expectations from the next generation that they can work for long hours is something that is given, taken, understood, and accepted. But the new generation with exposure to different cultures, they feel they're being burdened with the expectations of the parents. Okay? So it's a very interesting conversation that you brought in. But in a way, I feel thanks to the family system that we have, which puts pressure on children, may not give choices to the children, But at the end of it, the children come back to thank the parents for the rigor that they have enforced on them and for the kind of life that they could make because of the end product after the rigor. But there are multiple perspectives on this, not that I appreciate what I said, but that's the way the scenario is. Okay? Thank you so much for bringing that.
Well,
you want to say something?
Let me just add one more sentence, okay? This is a good news to everybody. I don't think there is any top secret scientific research which does not known by some Indians, okay? That is, as long as everything in the top scientific research, there is always some Indian over there. So there is no secret to Indian. If you find someone, if you know some kind of field or some breakthrough, you just look for it. Okay, there is some Indian scientist over there. And just looking for them, and it's no longer secret. Okay, then Indian will know that.
So I think we are going beyond borders. We are looking at a world without borders now and a blended cultures of the best of everything. So wonderful. Let me hear from Dr. Ram here now, because you come from a very different belief system. And I would like the audience to hear from you as to what is it you're doing and why are you doing what you're doing?
Thank you so much. I probably will be straying from the topic a little. There is a little sadness within me, and today I'll take refuge of this topic to share that sadness with you all. So I graduated from IIT Madras in 2008. Most of my batchmates went abroad to study, and I think all of them are settled abroad today. I too was going to go to Stanford, but life had some other plans for me, so I ended up being here. They say everyone is happy. Dreams have been achieved, and all hard work has been paid off. But truly, is everyone happy? In most cases, parents who take care of every little things of ours, who spend sleepless nights when we are unwell, are left alone in their old age. And I have met some of these parents of my own batchmates and some of them nearby. They yearn to play with their grandchildren, to hold their hands, to hold hands of their sons, and to sleep in their daughters' laps. And I feel sad, and it is this sadness that I am sharing with you. But then I feel it isn't the fault of our children, no? Till the age of 3, our child is free to learn whatever he or she wants to learn, and after that we put her in a system which is completely decided by adults. We put her in a system which says from now on for 12 to 15 to 16 years of your life, you have to now compete with each other. This is a ruthless world, and you have to compete to survive. You have to become number one. And that is what she imbibes, slowly and steadily. Her worth is now measured time, and I know that. They can be happy for others. They know how to love, truly love someone else without judgment, without trying to save someone. And I feel sad when I see them losing it as they grow up. It's not really about abroad or India. I think that's a very important quality that we human beings have, which we need to nurture within ourselves. There was a movie I was seeing a couple of years ago. In that movie, there is this poet. And this poet, he writes beautiful poetry and then he hides it. And so someone asks him, why don't you share it with the world? And he says, that's because, I want to punish them. And the reason I want to punish people is because they have forgotten how to love. So I want to do nice work and then hide it from them. Over many years, that statement has stuck with me. We as human beings, as we grow up, forget what it is to truly love one another, love our children, love the world and everything in it. We become too fearful, insecure, self-absorbed about everything around us, and it reflects in our relationship with the world, where we start treating everything as a resource. And in our relationship with our children, wherein the base of educating them becomes how to survive and compete. But it need not be that way. We can learn to love again. It is the most profound thing that I have ever discovered. It will change the world and heal it. More than anything, a warm hug, taking time out to listen to our loved ones, caring and asking our children what they really need can change the world. And who can teach us these things better than our own children? I think thing is that if we kind of take care of small things like these, I sometimes feel, what is it that makes some of my batchmates who have gone abroad not come back for years and years? What is it that they have lost? I think that's, thank you.
Sorry for getting your name wrong, Amit, but I think what you brought forth is the most sensitive and most important element of being a human. Before you become a human doing, you need to be a human being first. Any education which misses that point has missed the plot completely. Thanks for bringing it forward. Okay? Thank you so much. And I can see how much you feel about it. Okay? Dr. Ram Kumar, you must be cursing me that I didn't even ask you anything till now. But I'm sure you have a lot to share after having heard from everybody what their perspectives of what an ecosystem of education should look like and what is our role.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Professor Young. Thank you, Amitji. Thank you, my Chairperson, Komaria, Dr. Ramana Garu, and Yogesh. I'm in a very advantageous position in this sense. Especially there on the very first day when BITS Pilani was set up. My father and the Chief Minister of the state, with G.D. Birla, were in the same vehicle, going from Jaipur to this. Again, I'm very privileged in this sense. I have Ramana Garu, but I started teaching JM2, I think, much before he joined. And then we have Mr. Kumariya, a very interesting thing. He's, and I would say, I think all of you should give a big round of applause to Mr. Kumariya. I think what we need today, he is an edupreneur. We don't want entrepreneurs, we want edupreneurs. Because if edupreneurs are there, entrepreneurs will have coming, I think, on their own. But when I say that, I was in Delhi School of Economics, and my teacher, we had Amrit Sen, who later on became a Nobel laureate, and he told that there is only one problem, single problem is there in India, and that's the problem of education. And that he told in 1975 when we were in Delhi School of Economics. And if we can solve this one problem, we can solve the entire problems of this. Now, given that thing, I would say that, things have changed. And if you go through, our scriptures, we say, Aham Brahmasmi. What is the purpose of education? Sa vidyaya vimuktiye. What is the purpose of education? Okay, today we are talking of jobs, etc. But when you go to MIT, I'm happy that he's there on the side. And when I entered the portals of MIT, what was written over there? 160 feet above. Science and technology in the service of society. So I think the biggest problem is that education has lost its touch with people as such. We believe in grades, we believe in positions, we believe in powers, we believe in salary. But when you go to classroom, you are bereft of knowledge because you have just gone through some books here and there. You have been teaching that for years. You don't have your own view because you have not done any research. Unfortunately, I think all the Indian education institutions are bankrupt, including our IIT, IIMs. I have been there. I've been teaching. The chairman allows me to go there. You don't do your own research. If you don't do your own research, you are good for nothing. So when you ask me about the problems of higher education, I'll say, have you been to Ladakh? If you have been to Ladakh or Kilimanjaro in Africa, then there is a problem. That problem is HAS, high altitude syndrome. So our higher education, and I think it is facing the problem of breathlessness, not able to breathe properly because it is over-regulated. You tell me a country which has done so well, where there is so much regulation. And moment regulation comes, I think, things just can't go forward. You know about IT. IT has flourished because there are no regulations. And you have to believe that people who are in education, whether in the government or in private industry, they know if they don't do their business well, they are just not there. You have put them there, then why do you take regulations? You can give some guidelines. But they don't do a crime if they go this side or that side. So that's very important, I think. The whole problem is the problem of suicide, I think. We talked of quota, but not of quota. You take IITs, IIMs, and all these places. We have the highest rate of suicide, I think, in the world, the field of higher education. Why does it happen? That means the connect between student and teacher. It's just not, I think, the syllabuses. It's just not, I think, a video. They make the life of this. But it's, I think, connect between teacher and let me tell you, I am very proud of the fact that today, if I am able to speak here, I am able to speak because of my teachers. Manmohan Singh was the student of my teacher, Professor Om Prakash, at Punjab University, Chandigarh. He had come from Cambridge, and the then Prime Minister was recruited by my teacher. And here also we had very good teachers. So let me tell you, if there is one good teacher, he can produce any number of good students. And today, when you talk about higher education, we need higher education in this country because we need people who can occupy high positions, who can be good leaders, who can be sensible, can communicate and interact, I think. But that is not happening. And to that extent, things are not happening. You see, I think, there is a hiatus, I think. There is a change between so-called people who are in the important seat there and the people as such. So if you move together in any such country, I think higher education has to be given higher weightage. Now, interestingly, we have been talking about GRE, and you know how we are managing GRE. I have 3,000 IAS officers. I have 10 cabinet secretaries. I have evaluated the working of 59 ministries of the government. And given that, I think, let me tell you very frankly, that one is that we keep the ranking of funds. I was there and how funds are transferred. I was the Secretary of Education and I was there. IIT Bombay, he just called, he needed some money and we just transferred 1 crore, I think, without knowing. The problem there is, and I think it's a shameful position that we make this point in this hall when we are talking this policy, that GRE is increasing, but your people who pass out of matriculation, that percentage. So there have been some gains of higher education. One is the problem, I think, of forward caste people. You see, I think I have done the recent survey.
Okay. Okay.
I've just seen the research survey, and you have seen that now I think that is going away. The problem of minorities and the problem of advanced scientists, that is going away. And there is a progress. But with all that, I think the problem of funding is one thing. Number two, we are not implementing so-called report of the word.
But you know what? I think the audience is expecting to hear a message from you. Because the complications will make us feel very weighed. And we will go back with a heavy heart that we can't do anything.
No, we can do.
Yeah, so we want to hear
so
that.
That's what I'm telling. I think what happens is that we have been singing the songs of NEP, but we have not been telling how we should take it forward. And two things in NEP which we suggested was, one thing that we suggested was that we should have a fund of 50,000 crore for research fellowship.
Okay, that's your message.
The second thing that we said was that we should have, 4.
Okay, they're not giving me permission now, the timekeepers. I'm so sorry, Dr. Ram. But I think with over a cup of tea, I'm sure you'll share your pearls of wisdom later. Okay, I'm very sorry about it. The tyranny of time is something we can't deal with. Okay, so we heard, dear audience, we heard from the left end to my left that, create a good ecosystem with all the amenities and help with the mindsets of the parents and teachers and principals to make sure that you create an ecosystem where every child thrives in some way or the other. And we heard from Dr. Ramana Rao that bring the future into the classroom now and make it so wide open that everybody can make a successful life. And we heard from Dr. Amit the complexities of the landscape that we are in now, but the message is have enough funds for research. And we heard from Dr. Young that why are you looking at borders? It's not about borders, but it is about how meaningfully you can drive a mission through education, whether it's India or America or any country that it could be. But teach your children how to be responsible, how to be more purposeful in what they do. And from Amit, we heard that make them into human beings, not just human doings. I want to hear from you because we did not hear enough from you, Dr. Sudeshri. So please, Yogeshri, please.
Yeah, so I totally echo with Mr. Amit and Dr. Young. The reason is that, of course, we are in India. The education system is very strong, I do believe. So he talked about US with researchers, almost all Indians. What I still believe being in higher education is that what Mr. Amit and Dr. Young said, we do not insist on flexibility beyond a particular stage, because when you look at school education, it is almost like a pressure cooker for students. We compress lot and lot of subjects. I do not know whether they really use it for their career. Of course, everybody can try to remember what you studied in school. We don't, right? Because it's not application at all. And when they come to higher education, compared to abroad, Indian education still, it is very different what you study in school and what you do it in colleges. Of course, in BITS, we have a different system. Of course, I do not know how many of you know, we do not have attendance at all. So when you challenge yourself with your students, saying that no attendance, and if you really would like to attend a teacher's class, you're free to attend. So it becomes a responsibility to teachers to teach such things which you don't find in books or in a digital system. Okay, still you need that human touch. So we do a lot of fun, we have to do a lot of fun activities. So the same thing, that is what I'm trying to say, is we need to transform from schooling itself, make education fun, right? And as we see the new educational policy, national education policy, has a lot of liberal arts. You can combine science with creativity. It could be painting, it could be sports. So when you do that, education becomes fun, and they know what is a learning outcome. Why do I study this, right? So if you ask a student who is in 5th standard or 6th standard, what do you want to become? Now every parent would have already, inculcated saying that it's IIT. I do not know what a 5th standard kid knows about IIT. We say, even school promotes, I think, School promotes the parents saying that we do IIT Max at 5th standard. For me, I come from a system of higher education where we as teachers have a lot of challenges, attracting students to classes. We do teach science, but we teach in a different way. We teach only which they can apply in their life, right? So as a higher educator, I believe school need to collaborate with higher education institutes like us, and they need to tell the students that whatever they study, what is the outcome? Why do they have to study? Today's kids do question, right? I think all the school teachers believe that. Now kids know what to tell the teacher. They're very honest. I remember interview of my younger kid for the 11th standard in DPS. So I'm trying to tell the teacher that he doesn't want to do science because he finds it difficult. I'm trying to, as a parent, trying to tell something else. But the kid tells the teacher, no, I want to make my life easy. I don't want to study science. I want to do humanities. I want to do psychology, which is more connecting to people, right? So I was really taken aback by the kid, who is my own kid. I come from a scientific background. I claim myself to be a researcher. And my kid is very honest with the teacher. That honesty we do not have. Or we were not culturally trained to say this truth, what we really want. And today's generation is for the new education policy. I think we should implement it. And the best way to do is to talk to the higher education institutions with whom your teachers have to closely work with. So this is my take for today's panel. And I think I did my justice for the day.
Beautiful. I think you really ended it so well. by talking about how you need to understand this generation and how you need to make it relevant to them. So on that note, I think we have been the best time managers. We just surpassed 5 seconds so far, or 6 seconds, I think. But I'm sure the audience has quite a few takeaways from each one of them. I would only say one thing: the tyranny of merit needs to be prohibited completely. It's not the merit, it's the potential of a child that we should be able to see. And let's also look at, from our generation to this generation, things have changed. It's not the disciplinary experts, but multidisciplinarians and generalists that we are looking at now in the new world. And let's all work towards that. Thank you very much to each one of you for bringing different insights into the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, dear panelists, for that insightful session. May I request you to remain on the stage? I would like to call our director, Pallavi ma'am, as well as T. Sudha ma'am, to come up to the stage to felicitate all the panelists with a token of our love and affection.